Ladies, gamers, and gentlemen, welcome to BelleNOiRtv. My name is BelleNOir, and you are watching Cast My Game Community Cast, a show where I cast your replays. Today we have very special replays for you as I adjust my headset. Because those replays are going to be featuring Root Minigun and EmpireKas. But before we get into those, let me just welcome everybody on the stream, everybody watching, and before we will get to the Minigun and Kas replays, I'm gonna be casting a replay of Wochtulka, a Protoss player, and Team SC2 improves Sabre. So, big shoutouts to Sabre, of course, for submitting the replay, and SC2improve.org, because that's the organization and team that Sabre is playing for. They're doing a lot of cool stuff. Currently, they have the Summer League running, which has 400 pounds in prize pool, and I think the prize pool was recently raised by another 200. That is 600 pounds as a prize pool in a league that is pretty much for amateur or semi-pro players, organized by one man, that is Jonathan Ward, aka Wardy. You can check out his stream if you want. That's twitch.tv/WARDIII. I'll link those into the chat momentarily. And we'll get into the replay afterwards very quickly. There we go, there are the links, and let's jump into the replay. Let's check if I have everything set up correctly. Looks like it. So let's load up the replay. The map is going to be Derelict Watcher Tournament Edition, and the players are going to be Wochtulka from Team dFall, the Protoss player, and Sabre, the Zerg player from Team SC2 Improve, of course. So let's jump straight in. Here we are on Derelict Watcher in the red colors. Spawning in the bottom left location, it is going to be dFall Wochtulka, the Protoss player. Here in the top we have from Team SC2 Improve TSI Sabre, the blue Zerg player. Sabre is a very good player, I have to say. He regularly competes in British events, going to lands such as Insomnia. Currently he is at I think it is called Epic LAN. You can find it on Team Liquid. I think they are still streaming. The stream is on Game Social TV. Whereas Wochtulka is one of the better Czech Protosses, and here I have to stop a little bit and say that the Czech Republic is riddled with Protoss players being trailed closely by Zerg players, but there are almost no Terran players, or at least not any good ones that would actually have any results in tournaments, either global or local. Wochtulka just confirming that the pool will be going down. He is going for a Forge Fast Expand opening, which looks to be a Nexus first. That probe is down a little bit too early, I have to say. Usually you want to send it down at when you reach 300 minerals. That way the probe will get down exactly when you have 400. But the Nexus is going down. The pool is well on the way, so a pylon block is definitely possible. With a later cancel, Wochtulka might be able to delay this expansion for a considerable amount of time, but he is going to rely on his micro for the time being. If we look at the APM, it's almost 300 at times. The hatch does go down, but it is going to be 40 seconds later than it was supposed to be, or at least 30 seconds, and Wochtulka does have a nice lead in the expansion timing right now. First set of Zerglings coming out right here, as a queen is queued up as well. All was scouted by Wochtulka though, so he's going to know exactly what he will be up against. He knows only one pair of Zerglings will be coming out of that hatchery, as he's pulling back with his probe, probably going to hide it somewhere and go for a rescout later on to scout. Maybe will be bold enough as to go in, try to get inside the main base and scout the gases, but most probably will be going here to rescout the third base. Meanwhile, Nexus finishes, cannon coming up, double gas is being taken, and a Cyber core should be built very shortly here. There we go, Cyber core going down, and Sabre's scouting Overlord making its way over. Being chased away by this cannon a little bit, and we'll have to regenerate health, because when that Cyber core finishes, a ranged unit, no doubt, will be coming out. Wochtulka still hiding his probe. And this was a rather quick third base. Of course, Sabre put down that third base after he confirmed that this is not a gateway expansion, because versus a gateway expansion, you generally don't want to be getting that third base as quickly. Instead, you get the gas, at least one of them, for link speed, and maybe a quicker lair. Probe is being discovered by the Zergling, and probably will not be able to rescout the third base. The Zergling should be able to take out that probe. We have a sentry as the first unit coming out of the gateway so far, second unit Zod is already out as well. Mothership core on the way, and so far no additional attack. Wochtulka might be throwing down a robo facility very early here, or very soon, as the Zod is coming in for a little bit of a harassment. We'll try to maybe get this queen. As well. And the probe is a hero here, because the probe has scouted the third base. Oh, Wochtulka, wow, such a ballsy play here, getting the Nexus. A third one before any kind of attack. He's expanding rather quickly here, and Sabre will start wondering what is going on. Wochtulka actually playing this really smartly. Look at this, he's throwing down 2 additional gases while killing the Overlord. And this is going to make Sabre think that this is absolutely normal. You know, the gas timings are the same as if any kind of tech was already being thrown down by the Protoss player. He does have a couple of links out on the map. We'll try to scout even more, but Wochtulka is getting 4 additional gateways at his third base. If Sabre doesn't scout that third base is up, he might be in some trouble, as the lair is coming up. The link speed being queued up as well, and a roach worm going down. Look at this, Sabre is preparing, is assuming a defensive stance here. Thinks that a gateway push might be coming, or maybe a gateway immortal push. Getting only 1 evolution chamber so far, so he's really afraid of an attack right now by Wochtulka, and the second Overlord rescouted the rest of the base and seen absolutely nothing, and right now Sabre's got to be going like, what the hell is going on here? You have no tech, you have only the 1 gateway at the front, you gotta have a third base. And now he's gonna be like, oh shoot. Better go Mutus, I guess. The lair is finishing up, a couple of seconds to go, additional gas is being taken. Hydra is then going down as a tech choice here for Sabre. Robotic facility going up as well, and this will have to be followed up by a quick robo support bay. Wochtulka up on 5 gateways and 1 forge, That's a pretty good infrastructure for 3 bases that are not yet saturated, and we are going to be looking at the probe count climbing rapidly here for Wochtulka, as he will be dumping a couple of chrono boosts at least onto those nexuses. +1 missile attacks going up for the Zerg player. And well, if we look at the worker count, it's 67 drones versus 59 probes. And Sabre responding to this play by taking a rather quick 4th base at 9 minutes 50 seconds. That's a very quick 4th. Now Wochtulka needs a scout. He needs to know what is going on. Has he actually sent a... No, he hasn't. No hallucinations, no additional scouts, nothing. He's just going robo by default. +1 finishing up, +1 armor queued up immediately, and Wochtulka, well, he doesn't know if this is mutas, he doesn't know if this is quick ultras, he doesn't know anything. He's just playing this blindly and trying to just play very standard according to the current metagame. This Overseer getting it trapped a little bit here. And well, first Colossus should be coming out here any moment. As the Observer scouting out the 3rd base. A lot of links on the field for Sabre. Will he be able to do anything with them? The creep spread also pretty good. And there's the Spire coming up. I wouldn't even mind Hive being queued up at this point. And just doing a Hydra push. And then probably, I don't know, maybe switching into Mutalisks. He's banking quite a lot of gas, so he's definitely preparing for that Muta switch one way or the other. He won't be able to go ultras very quickly though, because he doesn't have... I mean, he could, but he doesn't have the upgrades for them. Blink going up right now for the Protoss player, as he, I think, has scouted the Spire. Actually, he didn't, but nevertheless, it's a good time to get Blink. +2 attack will be following this up. Kind of haphazard force fields there, not really doing anything but scaring the Zerg army. And you know, this is basically just, I'm gonna show you my Hydras and Links. I'm going to force you to go Colossi. I'm going to bait the Colossus production out of you. And then I'm going to switch into Mutas, and we have 10 being produced right now. Is this going to be enough? 17 Stalkers are on the field currently, and they're pushing forward. That one Colossus, that is all Wochtulka needs to take care of the Hydras and the Lings. And if he maintains his Stalker count, he will be able to counteract the Mutas as well. Let us see. Well, the Mutalisks, they don't even have to go after the Stalkers. They might just try and focus down the Colossus. And here we go, they are doing that. The next target probably will be the Mothership Core. Huge concave of Hydras trying to wear down the Stalker counts. The Stalkers don't have Blink yet, and they are only 1-1 upgraded, so, you know, the DPS of the Hydras is quite huge at this point. Force fields are going to be the key to keep Wochtulka alive, but no, he is losing everything and having to pull back. Not even the second Colossus joining the fight. 4th base coming up for the Protoss player as well, and this is him trying to salvage something from the game. 3 more Mutalisks in production, and the Muta count will only continue to climb higher and higher and higher. Well, now the Blink is finished though, so I don't know how effective those Mutalisks will be. Trying to do a little bit of harassment here while the rest of the group is pushing forward. Huge warping of Zealots trying to hold the Hydras at bay, but second Colossus would be needed here. They are in production though. The Warp Prism will probably try to fly around the map to this corner somewhere here and try to take down this base or even the 4th base with a big Warping, but this Colossus, it's been a hero. 20 kills on that one, but it is going to go down, and Wochtulka is barely holding on to his natural base here, not even willing to move his army there because he needs to protect his 3rd base mining from the Mutalisks. And a lot of probes are going to go down here. 8 already killed by Sabre. Gonna go up to 10. Wochtulka only sending units he really needs to send over there. That's commendable of him. And another 5 kills for another Colossus, but the Stalkers are getting taken out in the meantime. Wochtulka not having enough APM to control 2 fronts simultaneously. More Colossi are being produced, but without any anti-air. These Mutas are going to rule the sky and Wochtulka has to pull back probes. He can transfer them actually to this base, but there are no assimilators so far. He will not have that gas income. +1 carrot base of, +1 flyer attacks on the way as well, and Sabre just in a dominant position here with 79 probes versus 60. The income at this point is 2,000 versus 1.5k a minute, mining almost 1,000 gas per minute as well. So he's going to have a huge bank in a moment here. Those Mutalisks are fighting +2 Stalkers at this moment, and that is not entirely enough. Those Stalkers would have needed +3. Meanwhile, a huge circling run by into the natural base, going to shift the attack over into the main, bringing down the Nexus, and Wochtulka just says Imba and goes out of the game, heavily outplayed by Sabre. And I have to say this... Okay, first off, there was a little bit of... The scouting was a little bit lacking, in my opinion. Had Wochtulka known earlier a little bit what the tech choice is going to be, had he scouted the Spire, his response might have been different. He might have built a couple cannons. And but still, I think the crucial point in this game was the engagement around here, where Wochtulka just kind of pushed out with only one Colossus, extended a little bit. The force fields were too late in the battle. I guess he was not looking, or maybe macroing, doing something else, but he lost the key units there, the majority of his army, and never recovered since then. Alright, gonna go into game number 2. Thank you very much for watching, guys. This is BelleNOiRtv. My name is BelleNOir, and you're watching Cast My Game, a show where we cast your replays. Damn, it's hot today, and it's even gonna get worse tomorrow and day after. It's supposed to be like 39 degrees or something like that. Not looking forward to it. Not looking forward to it at all. So, if you have a 1v1 Master versus Master replay between 10 to 30 minutes you would like us to cast, send it over to BelleNOir@sesnam.cz with the title Cast My Game, include a short description and any possible shoutouts you want us to make. And then we randomly pick the replays, but if we do end up picking yours, you'll get an email reminder with the date when it's going to be casted. And if you can make the cast, you can watch from YouTube, which is, by the way, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, everything is just /BelleNOiRtv at the end. Hello there to all you YouTube viewers, because I imagine this time is not very comfortable for Americans or Asians. So if you're watching from YouTube, hello to you and thank you for clicking on my video. Give a comment, subscribe if you want to. We're gonna be jumping into game number 2 here. This one is going to be Squiggletail versus EmpireKas. Of course, EmpireKas, Grandmaster level player. And we already can see that something fishy is going on here, right? And I'll tell you what, EmpireKas is a Terran player. Dear Mikhailo, however, decided to off-race as a Protoss player, so he's spawning in the top right position on Derelict Watcher, and in the bottom left we have TwilySparkle. I think he actually changed his name. Let me check that. No, I don't see his current nickname here. I don't think he told me. Nevertheless, continuing on with the game, TwilySparkle, Terran player in blue colors, and EmpireKas, the Protoss player in red. Kas is doing something really weird here. It looks like... Okay, never mind. Gateway going down and barracks going up. Isn't it actually funny how casters, when they say, sometimes they say the gateway is going down and sometimes they say the gateway is going up? Whereas, you know, if a building is going down, it kind of implies that the building is under attack and will soon be killed off. And when a building is going up, it should imply that it is being built. And whoa, this is going to be a 2 racks with no gas. I wonder where this will lead, but Kas is going to scout it. And will probably start chrono boosting out stalkers like there is no tomorrow, maybe even adding on a second gate, immediately queuing up a zealot. The more units you have when you see something like this, the better for you as a Protoss player. And Kas is going to get out of there with the probe. Still no gas is being taken, the orbital is just about to finish up. And Sparkle is going to be continuing his marine production for the time being. We can see that the probe is going to go in yet again. Desperately wants to get a hold of that information. Is an expansion down or is it not? I'm going to find it out that soon. And Mothership Core going up as the first priority unit here. Can't say I blame Kas. I mean, when you see a gasless double racks opening, you might as well, because you're gonna have a lot of Marines to contest with for dominance on the battlefield, and having that photon overcharge will keep you alive for a little bit longer. But keep in mind, this map is of the variety where the photon overcharge extends only roughly up to here. So Sparkle could actually get his units to this position and just leave them there, wait for the overcharge to wear out, and then he could continue attacking. He's not going to be doing that, just expanding, and Kas is doing the same thing, because if this was an attack, it would already have been on the way. At the same time, though, opening up with double racks will give you a lot of Marines early. A lot of Marines. If the Protoss player is opening up with only one gateway and refuses to build additional ones, you can do a quick poke relatively early with 10 or 12 Marines or so, and you are going to be almost guaranteed to do some kind of damage, either picking off a stalker or two, maybe a couple of probes in the natural base. Let's see if Sparkle indeed is going to be doing this as the natural expansion is finishing up. He has taken double gases behind this. Not very many gas points mined out of there yet, but he just hit the 100 gas mark. Let's see what he does with that gas. He could throw down a factory or a ghost academy, probably. Actually, the Ghost Academy, I don't know, he can't throw that one down yet. But yeah, look, with these Marines, unless a time warp goes down, they should have been able to take out these Stalkers. Now it's going to be a little bit problematic. One Stalker goes down, a solid evaporates very, very quickly, and Kas will have to pull back here. 2 Stalkers, well, they can take pot shots at the Marines, but they won't be able to kill all of them. And this is exactly the kind of damage that I was talking about earlier that you can do with the Marines, because you have just so many of them that it's very difficult to focus them down. It takes 5 hits to kill 1 Marine with a Stalker. So if you have 2 Stalkers, you need 3 volleys to kill a Marine. And with good micro, the Terran player actually doesn't have to necessarily lose very many of those Marines. An engineering bay going up as a follow-up to this. Maybe the Terran player is a little bit afraid of Stargate plays or DT plays, but it is going to be a robo facility for Kas. Now he knows the gas for the Terran player was delayed, so he can try to go and bust the front. He knows the Stimpack will be a little bit later. Usually the Stimpack finishes at around 9 minutes. This time, I don't think there are even... oh yeah, there it is. Combat shields, though, being queued up first. Combat shields and concussive shells and double factories? Are we going to see Blue Flame Hellions, I wonder? That would certainly be an interesting play, but it would come at... I'd say it would come in too late to do any considerable damage, unless you can somehow get a drop in without it being scouted. Robotic Bay going up for Kas as well. And what are we going to be seeing out of those factories as the starport is going up? Okay, double tech lab. I think this is going to be tanks and more barracks being built. This is, if those get... I mean, most of the infantry upgrades have already been researched, apart from Stimpack. Sparkle has all of them, so he queues up Stimpack here, and I'm going to be looking for reactors as add-ons to those barracks. If he does that, that means he's going to have a lot of Marines and a lot of tanks. This is a very old style, kind of Wings of Liberty-ish, I'd have to say. This style was very popular in the early 2010 and maybe a little bit into 2011. A lot of players were playing like this, just not getting early stim, opening up with concussive shells, Marauder Marine, combat shields, while getting their tanks and medevacs. +1 is going to be finishing, 2 tanks are already out. Kas does have a perfect read on the situation, however. He did get the full scout of, except the starport, but yep, gonna be reactors on those barracks. Kas, however, already has the first Colossus on the field. And he is getting thermal lance as well, 1-1 upgrades for him. So he's going to have the advantage of being ahead in upgrades when the Terran player attacks. Third base just now being queued up by Sparkle, and he should be pushing relatively soon here, trying to contain the Protoss. Third base being taken by the Protoss as well. Has Kas seen this command center? No, he has not. But he knows he cannot push up this ramp, and if he sees those medevacs, he should start being a little bit cautious, as drops will be a possibility here in a moment. And I think he did see those medevacs moving out, probably. Or has he? Actually, I think he hasn't. Those medevacs went through here, and the observer was just coming from this side, scouting out the third base. Kas will be a little bit confused by not seeing a third base, but at the same time, being a Terran player, he might just say to himself, well, hey, he probably built it in base, just to be a little bit safer. Now he spots the drop, and he knows those are 2 medevacs, so he should be pulling units to the main base. There we go. All of the Stalkers heading up. 7 Stalkers in this army. Third base is finished, and Kas is a little bit behind in probes. 49 versus 64 SCVs. That's a huge difference, but he will be able to make up for it very quickly with this third Nexus. Chrono Boost is being spent, though, and the drop is being denied. More Colossi coming out. Upgrades being chrono boosted. No Temple Archives yet, but I think that is somewhere down the line. There we go. Temple Archives going down, and with Storm and Colossus, I don't think this will do very much if the Terran player ever decides to move out. Both players macroing very well, I have to say, keeping their resources low. Actually, Kas is macroing a little bit better, because not only is he keeping his resources low, but also they are very similar in counts, the minerals and gas. Pretty much if you have these 2 numbers roughly at the same value, it pretty much says how good of a macro player you are and how good your build is. You never want to have like 2,000 minerals and 200 gas, or vice versa. So Storm is being queued up by the Protoss player, and the Terran just now scanned. I think the scan was here to see where the third base is, or whether it is up or not. And Kas, he has perfect idea. He knows exactly when the move out will be happening, and I think it is very close. And oh my god! 9 tanks with this army. Ladies and gentlemen, we have 9 tanks They can form a semi-circle here and cover this entire area with bombshells. And there's not a damn thing the Protoss player can do about it so far. The Drop's still trying to find a way to go inside, but Kas being really smart, leaving all of his Stalkers still there. He'll have to pull those back right now, though, because the siege is commencing. The third will be under fire. If he sieges those tanks right here, they will extend their siege range all the way to the Nexus, or very closely so. Kas trying to defend. Getting rid of the Marines is the order of business #1. If he cannot do that, he cannot get rid of the tanks. Because all the units, the Zealots, the Sentries, the Stalkers that would be coming towards those tanks would probably get killed off. The drop gets unloaded in the main base, but it looks like it will be cleaned up. One more warp and will be needed, as those warp gates are just about to open. The Stalkers have taken down both the medevacs though, and if we look at the upgrade, actually it's 2-2 for the Protoss player and 1-1 for the Terran, but hold on, we have an engagement here. Kas trying to bust the container. I think he will be successful though. Only one Viking in the air, not enough to kill those Colossi in time, and all 11 tanks have just been neutralized. Very well played by Kas. If we take a look into the resources lost tab, we can see that yes, the Protoss player has lost only half of what the Terran player has lost this game so far, and since they have lost the same amount of gas, it is going to be a little bit difficult for Sparkle to keep in the game, since he does need that gas to remake that tank count and Vikings and medevacs and everything. He can only use minerals for Marines, but there are 4 or 5 Colossi with this army. Marines are not going to do shit. And we can already see how starved for gas he is, as Kas is coming in, and I think this will be not a problem for him. Vikings might get stormed there. There we go. They're getting annihilated here. Colossi are being taken out. The count, the Colossus count was thinned out, but yeah, that Sparkle not even gonna let this game play out, and I'll tell you why. Look at the army supply. 40 versus 20, roughly, and a 4th base going up. Not a good day to be a Terran. Always have 2,000 minerals and no gas because of mech, says Spectra. You're right. You're right. I mean, as long as you're constantly muling and not scanning enough, you're always gonna have over minerals, no matter what. Unless you're going bio, because when you're going bio and you're not making efficient trades, I mean, Marines can eat into a mineral count quite heavily. When you have like 10 barracks or 12 barracks on 4 bases, excuse me, sure you have 2,000 or even 3,000 mineral income per minute, but you're using up almost entirely all of it every single 3 production cycles, especially if you have a lot of reactors on your barracks as well, because you are essentially producing 12 Marines at a time and let's say 6 Marauders or Ghosts. So that's a lot of money being thrown into production. I agree with that. Let's go into game number 3. So, you know, game number 2 kind of showing us that Kas can actually play a good game as a Protoss. But I have to say that, you know, Marine tank, when it moves out that late, it's not really that effective at all. Because it's at a time where Protoss players have upgrades usually and have at least 2 Colossi out. You need to move out before, or you need to hit rather, before the second Colossus pops. You need to hit sooner. And by opening with double racks with no gas, you're not speeding up the build at all. So it was, you know, Kas being a good player overall. He's got very solid mechanics, very solid scouting, and just overall basic fundamentals of Kas are so good because he plays so much. He just that's like the number of his ladder games per season are insane, and he usually plays around 60 games a day. That's a lot. And if you consider he's a macro player, that means his games usually last around 25 plus minutes at least. Playing 60 games when each of those averages around 30 or 40 minutes, I'd say, in his case. That's like an absurd amount of time you spend behind your computer perfecting your skills as a StarCraft player. So, and the other part of the result of that game was Squiggletail not really having the best build, I think, and he moved out a little bit later. But it was a weird idea, a nice idea. He could have caught somebody else off guard with this, probably, but not a person who is Kas. So let's go into the final game here. That's gonna be Minigun versus a Barcodes player, and I'll have to check the name in the email. Soul! Alright. By the way, this is not SDX Soul as far as I know. Could be, but I don't think it is. For some reason. So, the map is going to be Whirlwind, and Root Minigun is spawning here in the bottom left position as Red Protoss. His opponent is going to be Soul in the top, using a Smurf account, as we can see. Good luck, have fun, GG has been stated. And well, it's a PvP, and these are close positions. Now, you might think why I say close positions, because the only reason I say that is because it is not cross positions. And on Whirlwind, anything that is not cross positions has to be close positions, right? Hashtag logic, BelleNOiR 2013. So Minigun, you know, he's a player who's very fond of macro games, very long macro games. He usually produces an outrageous amount of probes, especially in all matchups, really. Like, I have seen him go as high as 85, 90 probes in PvP, which is a matchup where you usually don't want to have such a high probe count, because you want to have a larger army. To have a little bit of an advantage in any kind of fights. At the same time, one of the strong points of Minigun's play is his map awareness and his micro. He has very good micro, even though his microing is very simple, it is at the same time very effective. Most of the time he only uses one control group, and that's it. But somehow he controls his army very efficiently and very well, and is one of the few players actually who is using tab to switch between various types of units in his control groups. And you know, that means you have to memorize the priorities the units are given. You know, when you have Templars with sentries in your army, you need to know that Templars are given priority over sentries. So if you want to lay down force fields, you go, for example, 1 tab F. You don't just go 1 F, because that would select the Templars and try a feedback. And the more diverse your group of units is, the more complicated this gets, and you cannot ever miscount the number of times you put you actually click the tab. So it looks like Minigun is going to be going for either for tech or an expansion. I would rather think it's going to be an expansion. gonna just be... He knows his opponent, by the way, is not here nor here. Minigun is hiding his probe here, building a proxy pylon. This could still be a 3-gate attack, though. He could put down 2 additional gates right now, but I still believe this is going to be an expansion because Minigun just loves expanding. He loves expansion plays. Dark Shrine is gonna go up, though, as Minigun expands, and this might be dangerous for him. You know, one thing that I kind of... Oh, pylon being discovered. Nice job by Soul. One thing that I kind of see Protoss players doing on this map usually is they open up with something like 1 or 2 Stalkers or a Zod Stalker Sentry, and they keep those units, if they want to be expanding, they keep them here or around the base, scout for proxy pylons optionally, and if they know their opponent is close positions either here or here, but in these positions it's the most ideal position to do this, you send your Mothership Core out here to scout the tech. No need to risk your units, no need to send an observer, no need to waste a hallucination. Which, you know, those sentries will be gathering that energy in about a minute. A hallucination could be coming out. And, you know, Minigun has not done that yet. And I don't think he will. So as a result, he doesn't know what tech his opponent is going. His Robo Facility, though, is timed absolutely impeccably to finish when the Dark Shrine finishes. And this was one of the earliest Dark Shrines I have ever seen in my life. So, a DT expand for Soul, and a Sentry Robo expand for Minigun. There is the hallucination. Could have been 40 seconds earlier if Minigun chose not to follow up the Zod with a Stalker, instead get a Sentry straight away. And he's going to see the Dark Shrine. He sees the Robo, so he knows Blink is a possibility. Zealot Archon busts are a possibility, as well as Immortal Production. He knows he will not be able to catch his opponent off guard with any kind of DT play of his own. But at the same time, you know, getting DTs in this matchup is never a waste of money. You should be able to find utility for that regardless. If we look at the army size, it's 17 to 15, probes 35 to 32. Minigun constantly going to be scouting with these hallucinations. That's a very good call. War Prism coming out for Soul. So he's definitely thinking of doing a DT drop here in the main base. How many observers do we have out for Minigun? Only 1, and that one is with the main army. Now on Whirlwind, peculiar things can happen. You can, for example, go with a War Prism to here, and warp in 2 sentries and 2 DTs, or 1 sentry and 3 DTs, or whatever. And then you go from here, unload here, force field the ramp, and let the DTs do their work while you warp in additional sentries to keep the force fields up. Unless your opponent has Blink, a War Prism, or a Colossus, or an Archon, he's not going to get into his main base in time to save those probes, and he will be at least forced to run around with them. Gravitic Drive even being researched by Minigun. So he's going to be harassing with War Prisms quite a lot, as he's first going to scout the perimeter of his opponent to see what is he going for. There we have the 1 Dark Templar. Whoop, War Prism, come back! Need to pick me up. Come on, do it. And Minigun sees 2 additional gateways coming up. Forges are down as well. +1 attack on for the ground units coming up for both of these players. And it looks like Minigun is the first to try and go and transition into Colossus. Even going double Robo, that's not a play we see very often these days, but the DTs have been unloaded in the main base. The War Prism will be staying here for a possible hot pickup. How many kills will this DT get, as the Observer has to retreat to the main base? Meanwhile, Minigun with his trademark Immortal Harassment, how many kills will he be able to do? Picks up and leaves. The DTs in the main base are being cleaned up. 4 workers, 4 kills on this one DT. that was in the mineral line, and the second one was killed as well, while Minigun continues his harassment over here, and he's killing more and more and more workers. He's evening out the workers' kill count. That is amazing, but some workers are being killed somewhere. Oh, this DT in the main base. There we go, 4 kills on that one. Minigun might even try to force a cancel on this base, and probably would have been successful if he tried so. Oh yes, he's going for it. Very nice play here. Worker kill count and worker tab, excuse me, shows 50 to 48, 49. So pretty even econ game so far, as these immortals will have to be picked up. Oh, Minigun relentless with this harassment here. Look at this, and all the while he's doing this. Oh, will he drop? Will he try to get the Nexus? It's very low on health. He could try to force another cancel, which would be a pain in the ass for Soul to deal with. Minigun is getting his Colossi out, but if we look at the unit counts, Minigun has 2 immortals, but they are down. I mean, they are in this War Prism being used for harassment. His opponent has 4 immortals with this army, and Minigun is going Colossus. He's got 3 on the field already now. Whirlwind is a pretty open map, and having high immortal counts is actually very beneficial for you as a Protoss player, because you can do stuff like focus down the enemy Colossi. Oh my god, the Immortal's doing so much damage, and that War Prism just, oh goodness. Minigun has very good observer positioning. That's always been his trademark. He rarely ever loses his observer. Usually it is enough for him to produce 1 observer at the start of the game, and he never produces another one except the one that is supposed to be with his army. Another poke here with the War Prism, and well, Minigun is trying to pull his opponent apart a little bit as he tries to secure his 3rd base. The 3rd base for his opponent is already up, and we can see that he is pulling ahead in worker count slightly. This War Prism will be coming in for another flyby though, as charge is on the way for both players. Minigun getting ahead, getting behind in upgrades though. He does have 1-1, but his opponent is working on +2 and getting Templar Archives as well. Let's see if these Immortals will get very much done. They're trying to snipe off anything they can. That pylon is going to go down, and Minigun will pick up and leave. Or is he? Gets 1 more pylon and leaves the base. And gonna be probably... Well, you know, at this point, Minigun probably wants to start putting out proxy pylons around the map, every single where for counterattacks later on, as we have another DT drop in the main base. This cannon will go down. That means no detection for Minigun currently, and he will have to bring his observer back. Will this Nexus actually go down before he does? I don't think so. The observer is there. The DTs are being cleaned up. And they might try to drop into this base shortly thereafter. More DT warp-ins occurring here as... well, Minigun in a little bit of a trouble here. He's being harassed all over the place and falling apart a little bit here. His War Prism, though, is still active out on the map, but so is his opponent's. 4th base probably will go up for Minigun shortly here, but first that's out. Will have to be taken care of. Very intense game so far. We see 10 versus 15 workers killed. Both players not over 70 probes yet. But the Colossus count for Minigun is getting dangerously high. 7 Colossus. I think he will stop at this point and not produce any more Colossi. Actually, he's getting 1 more. I kind of have to question this decision, because overmaking Colossi sometimes is a very bad thing to do. Minigun finally getting a Dark Shrine of his own so that he can harass his opponent, but at this point in time I think there are going to be cannons everywhere for Soul, so I don't know how effective he can be with that. And Soul preparing a Stargate transition. Will Minigun be ready for this? He doesn't have Stargates of his own so far, nor the Templar Archives. He does have charge, and that's about it. And interestingly enough, he's getting armor instead of attack. Oh my goodness! The main Nexus just fallen as we saw, and Minigun, this might trigger an attack move from him. He has to take out at least one base of his opponent, and I think he'll be gunning for this 4th base. Already DTs are being warped here. There are no cannons so far. This Nexus might be cancelled. Minigun going for a double-pronged attack, hoping that he can pull the entire army towards here. While he goes ahead and assaults the natural base of his opponent, but first Void Rays are being queued up already, and there is not a lot of anti-air for Minigun. He's got only 6 Stalkers for anti-air, and that is it. Meanwhile, his main base is being torn apart by DTs. These gateways not even being turned on. Minigun not having a lot of gas. And around 1,000 minerals, double time warp going down. Are those Colossi going to be enough? Look at the concave of the Immortals. There is so many of them, and charge lots are coming from the top flank. These Colossi cannot escape. The Immortals are wearing them down, and Minigun will be losing this fight without support units. The Colossi are not that effective, but the 4th base was taken out just as Minigun had wanted. He's going to be moving towards this base right now, first taking out the cannon and then the Nexus. Will this be enough? His main base still under attack. The Robos are under attack right now, and this is a crucial structure that Minigun cannot allow to go down. Luckily enough, his 3rd and 4th bases are still mining, so let's look at the resources lost. We can see that it is very, very even. And let's see who lost more gas. It looks like Soul lost a little bit more gas than Minigun. And a little bit more minerals as well. That is good news for Minigun, as he is getting 3 Stargates of his own. Because of course he does suspect that his opponent is making a switch. Tempest Void Ray Immortal Zealot is very effective in the late game, and look at this, Tempest already being queued up for Soul. Minigun holding on to his 4 expansions and getting back into this game a little bit, but the constant harassment by Soul is, I think, starting to take its toll. And look at the probe counts as well, 64 to 68, not as high of a probe count as Minigun is used to be working with. He's kind of used to be having 70, 80 probes. He may have corrected that in his playstyle a little bit later on, or recently even. But I'm not entirely sure of that. He was always the kind of player that, favored having a very high probe counts. 2 Robos having to be replanted by Minigun though, as those in the main base have been taken out. Does he still have the Robo Bay though? I don't think he has. No, he lost that one as well, and the number of observers for him luckily is 5, so he will be able to detect DTs if he needs to. More DT harassment here, as Minigun does have a Dark Templar here, but that Dark Templar, oh, excuse me there. Wrong key. Happens sometimes. The Dark Templar did not see the DTs of his opponent. That was really funny. And Minigun, well, despite trying to harass himself, is not being very effective in that. 29 workers killed by Soul and only 12 by Minigun. Resources lost 11.3k to 12k. Minigun needs a concave here. He cannot just rush into that blindly. Time warp's going down, and he would be wise to pull back those Zealots a little bit to allow those Colossi to catch up. But look at the Tempest counts and Void Race counts. They are going to town all those Colossi, targeting them down one by one. They are being taken out though by Minigun's Void Rays and Archons, but in the end, all of these Colossi will fall, and that was all the AoE that Minigun had. He's reinforcing with mass Zealots, but look at his bank. It is almost gone. And it will take some time to reproduce those Void Rays. He still does have 2 Colossi holding on to them, but what is that going to mean versus 5 Immortals and mass Archon reinforcements? His opponent still on 4 bases and not taken as many losses as Minigun did. If we look at the upgrades, 2-1 versus 3-1, Minigun still behind in upgrades. Still behind. Excuse me, 1-2. Because the forges were taking out as well, and Minigun did not find time still to queue up additional upgrades. So this is going to, if nothing else, if not the composition, the upgrades are going to be what will win the game for Seoul in the long run. This is such a good game, I have to say. Seoul gunning for Minigun's third base, and I think he's going to get it no problem. No Mothership Core out for neither of these players. Minigun trying to salvage this, trying to do what he can. Those Void Rays have to be careful not to get above the Archons, which is precisely what they are doing. Minigun, no! No, Minigun! As he loses these Void Rays, there's nothing to kill the Tempest, and this is the battle that Minigun did not want to take. He did not want to lose those Void Rays. As a result, the Colossi will be going down, and this base will be going down as well. DTs, meanwhile, for Minigun are trying to take out something in the main base of Seoul, but detection is there. Minigun GG's out after a 26 action-packed game. What a game it was. Wow, just pure ownage from both sides. Really enjoyed that. Thank you very much, Seoul, for submitting this game. That was so good. Wow, such a good game. I'm gonna have to make a highlight of this. Such a good game. It was such a good game that my head stopped to hurt. Because I started this cast with my head absolutely like pounding like a huge church bell. But it's fine now. It's fine now. Before I go off, let me actually check which player this was. Because all I got in the email was, "I'm Seoul. I played this game versus Minigun today. It's a PvP. Thank you." I don't think it was STX Seoul though, just judging by the email name. But let us see. His current rank is... Alright, so 150 wins as Protoss out of 27 games. Oh, excuse me, 156 wins out of 27 games, and his current rank is Masters rank 2, so he is borderline GM on the NA server, as far as I can see. Alright guys, that's it for today. I'm gonna be signing off. Thank you very much for watching. The VOD should be up later on, either today or tomorrow. Excuse me. And yeah, I'll be randomly selecting more replays for Monday. Monday will be another Cast My Game show. Then on... Oh, excuse me, Monday I'll be doing the Go for SC2 Cup again. So the next Cast My Game will be probably Tuesday, and then Wednesday I'm doing the Zawi Gear UK Open monthly finals. Looking forward to that. And then I'll be out of town until Sunday. So be taking a little bit break from streaming then, but until that time you have a lot to look forward to from my side anyways. Thank you very much for tuning in. Hello to the guys on YouTube as well. I'll see you guys next time, and in the meantime, remember, storm first, ask questions later, and give me a follow on one of the channels or on the stream if you like. Thank you.